And thanks to you too for that really inspirational conversation, Sander, Julie, Christian, and Mike. All right, that was a kind of overview, and we just want to go into a bit more sort of detail. Through the SDG Ambition, as I hope will become very clear to you, the UN Global Compact aims to challenge and support 1,000 companies in setting those ambitious corporate targets and accelerating the integration of the SDGs into core business management over the next 2 to 3 years. Now, the first round of activities will kick off later in the year in collaboration with more than 25 global compact networks around the world. So let's hear from two of the actors on the ground who'll be bringing this initiative to life locally. Dr. Achieng Ojwang is Executive Director of Global Compact Network South Africa, and Nikki Fabiancic is Resident Coordinator at the United Nations in Brazil. Thanks very much to both of you. First to you, Dr. Achieng. You know, I know that the Global Compact Network in South Africa will be running the Accelerator program locally this year. Can you tell us why you were keen to join the SDG Ambition program in a bit more sort of detail than we have been hearing from the previous panel?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Just a bit of context that in South Africa, we have the National Development Plan, which when you align to the SDGs, there's very great alignment. So when the SDG Ambition was introduced for us as a network in South Africa, we saw it as an opportunity to begin to support companies in a more systemic way to integrate and begin to contribute to South Africa's development priorities. Because when they do that using the SDGs, they are doing both. They are creating impact on the SDGs, and they are contributing to the development priorities that we have as a country. And then COVID-19 arrived. As an economy, we were already going through economic decline. And so we've experienced a sense of interest, increased interest, and a sense of urgency by business to look at the SDGs as where the opportunities are for recovery. So that has been quite interesting. In the previous weeks, we receive a lot of queries, we receive a lot of interest into the Global Compact Network in South Africa precisely, and mostly because of the SDG Ambition program. The other thing that has happened in South Africa is that even before COVID-19, companies were already beginning to implement the SDGs and already trying in several ways, playing around with methodologies to say, how do we move to transformation on the SDGs? How do we prioritize? How do we set KPIs? And the challenge that most companies here have faced was on target setting for the SDGs. How do you determine that the targets you've set are sufficient to enable that particular company to contribute sufficiently to the goals themselves? And so with the SDG Ambition, because it's also built around target setting as a core process, we thought it would be tremendously important in assisting companies in South Africa. A few of the companies really do say that we need a level of hand-holding so that we move to transformation, and we are making significant progress. The one feature of South Africa's companies is that there's a good portion of them that are large, are multinational companies. And so they operate in different contexts, they operate in different jurisdictions, and sometimes that requires that the way they look at the SDGs for the different contexts. If you're a company that, for instance, works across 30 countries, the development priorities are going to be different from the UK and South Africa. And so they struggle to say, how do we holistically look at the SDGs from our headquarters so that all the countries that we operate in are aligned to the SDGs that are relevant for them. So we're really excited about the SDG Ambition. We think it's going to really help us to add great value companies in South Africa. And the collaborative element, the fact that the SDG ambition has been created by various partners coming together, Accenture, SAP, and now 3M, that is really valuable in really creating the confidence that we are pulling from and leveraging the business expertise that exists within the global compact. So there's a feeling, there's an interest that this means that the SDG ambition is accurately relevant for companies in the way that it has been designed. So we are very excited in South Africa to take this forward to this house.
Thanks very much indeed, Dr. Achieng. A lot of detail there about the challenges that you faced and how you're dealing with them in collaboration with various partners. Nikki Fabiancic, UN Brazil is taking a very active role in delivering the SDG Ambition program locally, all the way on the other side of the world from South Africa. How do you see it supporting the broader UN agenda, and why is collaboration with that local network critical to its achievement?
Thank you a lot for the invitation, and good morning to all. The UN Global Compact Local Network in Brazil is very, very excited with the opportunity of being one of the 21st local networks to engage in the SDG Ambition Initiative. We have the third largest network in the number of members, and according to our latest research, 78% of the companies are already doing some initiatives towards the implementation of the SDGs. However, as Ms. Sanda Ojambo mentioned, here with the SDG Ambition Initiative, what we are talking is to moving from incremental change to transformational change. Fortunately, in Brazil, we have some examples of companies that have done extraordinary work and incorporated the SDGs into their DNA. Let me mention one of them, Natura, the cosmetics company, which is a case that is well known and documented. And that company has incorporated sustainability into not only the higher management, but through the company, including the distribution network. And I could go on and on. However, despite the commitment of companies like Natura, we know that greater efforts are needed for the world to rise up to the huge challenges ahead of us. The SDG Ambition Initiative will serve as a big push for all companies in the Brazil network to truly integrate the SDGs into their core business decisions and across the business units. And I believe that the establishment of very concrete targets will be very useful for all the participating companies.
I wonder whether I think we have a minute or so left, so I wonder whether we could just very quickly go back to Dr. Achieng and ask you for your response to what Mr. Fabiancic was saying about shifting from incremental to transformational. Is that something that you're seeing over there in South Africa?
Absolutely, and it's something that we are pushing for as the Global Compact Network South Africa. And we've had this conversation with a few companies when it comes to target setting. And we are challenging companies to say that you should no longer say you want to, for instance, reduce waste by 50%, when you can actually, innovation tells us that you can actually reduce them by 0%. So we are pushing so that companies are thinking in those very absolute targets. And then hoping that the SDG ambition is then supporting the journey towards companies really transforming to where it's required to absolute zero targets, especially on the negative impacts on the economy and on the environment. So we are talking about this. We know it's a difficult task, but we know it's doable.
And Nikki Fabiancic, we still have a couple of minutes. So I wondered whether you would be able to respond to what Dr. Achieng had to say about what she was hearing from companies about their need for very concrete goals and ways to integrate the achievement of the SDGs into companies' business models.
Yes, well, thank you. The short answer is that, the SDG Ambition Initiative will bring a sense of urgency. It will put sustainability as a core value in the development process and in the business decisions, and help to accelerate the implementation of the SDGs. The challenges of Brazil today are very similar to the ones faced by the majority of developing countries and even by some developed countries: growing poverty and inequality, unemployment, citizen insecurity, and environmental degradation. Okay. And the COVID-19 has exacerbated these challenges. It has brought pain, suffering, and hardship to many families, but it has also offered opportunity to building forward better. And it is absolutely clear that governments cannot do it alone. The private sector is a key and essential partner to address these challenges. Investments and job creation, for example, largely depend on the private sector full engagement. We believe that these challenges could be addressed by providing greater access to quality education, decent jobs, and better use of technologies to close the digital divide and to deliver sustainable services and products. Recovering better from the current crisis requires a deep commitment and innovation from the companies, and the SDG Ambition Initiative presents a perfect opportunity and a well-thought-out model for companies to integrate sustainability into all business decisions.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. There's absolutely no doubt that we are in unprecedented and incredibly challenging times, and it's very good to hear the way that you, Dr. Achieng, and you, Nikki Fabian-Sik, are dealing with those challenges in such a sort of upbeat and organized way, together with the UN Global Compact and in partnership with people across society. It is really fantastic to see how the Global Compact will support thousands of companies around the world to step up their and turn their SDG commitments into action through the SDG Ambition Initiative. So, to our next panel. We're going to hear what the next generation of industry leaders, innovators, and pioneers have to say when it comes to bringing about scalable, transformative solutions for the SDGs. Times of crisis present a catalyst to usher in new and innovative models for doing business and allow those who historically have not had a seat at the table the opportunity to take their places at the forefront of the recovery process. It's absolutely essential that young people get the chance to have more of a voice and play a greater role in shaping our social and economic systems. So, how can we support the next generation and provide them with opportunities now to contribute with new ideas and new solutions to drive impact on the SDGs at scale? Over the next hour, we'll be discussing the challenges young people face and also what business can do to promote and support youth leadership and innovation for the SDGs. But first, we will hear what actions governments are taking to support the youth agenda and give platforms to young people to contribute to the Sustainable Development Agenda in a session moderated by the UN Secretary-General's Envoy on Youth, Jayathma Wickramanayake. But before we go to Jayathma, let's hear from His Excellency Joseph Mucheru, the Minister of ICT, Innovation and Youth from the Republic of Kenya.